Hello, fellow grammarians. This is Grammar 2, and it's week 28. And this is not going to be a really long lesson, so we will get started and then be able to get on with things, okay? So let's go ahead and open up your packet and go to your week 28 classwork, and that's exactly, we're going to do exactly the same thing that we have done in the past in the last couple of weeks. I'm going to go through the classification of the sentences with you, and you will notice again that there is an answer key underneath it, but you are not allowed to look at it yet. I would like you to go ahead and mark this by yourself, just like you usually do. I will say the question answer flow with you. You can say it with me if you'd like, and then go ahead and mark it, and then we'll just go through and check it then after that. All right? So let's go ahead and go with the first sentence. You got your pencils ready? The polite young man sat nervously. So our first question is, who sat nervously? What did man do? How did he do it? What kind of man? And another one, what kind of man? Then we have our article adjective, which is our regular sentence pattern, SN-V, and then it's pattern 1. Check. Is there a prepositional phrase in this one? And then what kind of sentence is it? Go straight to the verb and put your slash mark. And then what is your simple subject, simple predicate? All right? We aren't going to do all of these together because you know this well, but I wanted to go ahead and at least do the first one. And I'll just go back over it again, okay? So, man is the subject noun. Man sat, that's the verb. Sat nervously, that tells how, that is the adverb. What kind of man? Young man, that's an adjective. Polite man, that's an adjective. And then the is the article adjective. Then your regular sentence pattern, which you've done. Check. There are no prepositional phrases in this sentence, so you don't put any parentheses there. And the sentence is a declarative sentence, so you should have a D after that. And don't forget, there's a lot of times when you forget to do that. You forget to put the D there. So that's just a real simple thing, and we've done it for months. So don't forget that, okay? Go back straight to the verb, which is sat. And so you put your slash mark in front of sat. That divides the complete subject from the complete predicate. Then you underline the simple subject once, which is man. Simple predicate twice, which is sat. So it would be man sat. All right? So that is the first one. We are not going to do any of the other ones together, but I still would like you to do them. All right? Go ahead and do them, and then check with the answer key after you have finished. All right? And I think you'll do fine because you always do, but you still need the practice. Okay? So that is what we're doing with that. And then the only other thing we're going to do is we're going to be talking about similes and metaphors. We have mentioned that before really a lot during the off and on all the way through the year, and so I think you already know what both similes and metaphors are, but it's a very useful thing to use in your writing because it's a good way to compare things. And both of them, both a simile and a metaphor, compare two things, but they compare them with something that's not anything like what they really are. All right, and so the difference is, and we're going to make a composition page about it, and we'll practice as we're doing it. All right, but the difference between a simile and a metaphor is that a simile uses the word as or like when it's comparing two things, whereas a metaphor does not use as or like. It says that something is something else. All right, and I'll show you what I mean. We are going to make a page. Please pull out your composition pages, and you're going to make a page that looks like this, and you actually have a picture of it in your packet. So this is what it looks like in the book. Okay, so what you're going to do is go ahead and get your two pieces cut out to the proper size. And the thing is what I would like you to do first before you start, I don't want you to glue it all in at once, okay, because we're going to leave some room for writing. All right, so the first thing that you need to glue on is this top part, similes and metaphors. And technically you don't really need that because both of these pages actually say it, but we'll just be fancy and put it on there. All right, because then what I would like you to do is I'd like you to do your writing before you put this on there so that you leave yourself enough room to do your writing. Okay, now what mine says, and you can copy it, it's important. Mine says that a simile and metaphor is figurative language. That means it's language that doesn't exactly mean what it says. It just gives you kind of creates a picture in your mind. Okay, it's descriptive language that creates an image in the reader's mind. Okay, that's what I just said. So that's really all it is. And when you are doing a simile, actually what I would like you to do is first of all write that on there. If you want to, you can figure out how to write it in your own words. You don't need to have it exactly the way I've written it, but it basically means it's language that creates a picture in your mind. All right? Figurative language. When you are done with that, you're going to take your piece of paper here that says simile. A simile is something that compares two things using the word as or like. Now, like I said, the two things are not alike, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. But what I'd like you to do is take your highlighter and do exactly what I did here. Every time you see the word as, highlight it, or like. Okay, like over here in the peas. It says like 2 peas in a pod. As easy as pie. As cute as a button. Like 2 peas in a pod. As slow as a snail. As wise as an owl. All right, so go ahead and do that. Now the thing that I'm talking about when I say that you are comparing two things that are not anything alike, usually when you say something like, let's say ice skating is as easy as pie. That would be an example of using a comparison with a simile. You use the word as. Ice skating is as easy as pie. Well, the thing is ice skating isn't anything like pie, is it? It's just an expression, okay? So you're comparing ice skating and pie, but not really. And so that's kind of what that is, okay? So, or if you say as slow as a snail, you can say something like, my little brother is as slow as a snail. You're just comparing your little brother to how slow a snail is. You're not saying anything, you know, your little brother and a snail aren't really anything alike, okay? So that's basically, with a simile, you're comparing two things that are not really alike, but it gives you a really good picture in your mind what it is you're talking about. Okay, 2 peas in a pod, like 2 peas in a pod. Well, 2 peas in a pod are pretty similar. So if you're saying two people are like two peas in a pod, you're saying they look an awful lot alike, or they act a lot alike. Okay, so it's really kind of a handy way to compare things. So then underneath it, I just have the definition of simile. A simile makes a comparison between two things using the words like or as. And you can go ahead and write that underneath, and be sure that you underline those three things that I underlined, because then it kind of brings it out so that you can find it easily. All right? So when you're all done with that page, we're going to work on metaphor. Metaphor is the same thing. It compares two things that are really not at all alike. Here I say a metaphor is a comparison without using the words like or as. A metaphor says that one thing is another. So, up here, he is a sly fox. Okay, if you're talking about somebody like Mr. Jones or any, just any person at all. Mr. Jones is as sly as a fox. Are you saying that Mr. Jones is a fox? No, actually, I didn't. It's not as sly as a fox. He is a sly fox. Are you really saying he is a sly fox? No, he's not really a fox. Okay, what you're saying is he's just very, very sly, very kind of sneaky. All right. So you're comparing the two, but you're not saying that one really is the other, okay? He is a pig. What does that really mean? That really means he eats too much. He eats way more than he should. All right, you're not really saying he's a pig, okay? There's an airplane, so I'm going to stop for a second. And the same thing is for all these other ones. She is an angel. She's not really an angel. She just acts like one, and so on. Okay, I don't need to keep going. You know what I mean. All right. So a simile, the two differences. Simile uses the word as or like. Metaphor does not use as or like. Just says this thing is this thing. All right. So you got it. I sometimes I use the expression of my feet are as cold as a block of ice. Okay, there you go. There's your simile. Are your feet a block of ice? No, they're just cold like a block of ice. I mean, they may not even be that cold, but you get the picture. Your feet are really, really, really cold. Okay, or you can say my feet are blocks of ice. Well, they both mean the same thing. They just are said in a different way. But that still doesn't mean that your feet are really blocks of ice. Okay, so it's just a figure of speech. You're speaking figuratively. All right, so that's all we're going to do today. That's new. And your packet, you'll have some practice. You have to tell whether it's a simile or a metaphor. You'll have some more practice with the 5 parts of the front of a book and 4 parts of the back of the book. You'll have some practice with capitalization and punctuation. We've talked about all that stuff. Now, if you don't remember, like I have said before, your reference book, your book at the beginning, your French reference, has pretty much everything in it that we've talked about all year. All right, so if you don't remember where you put the period and this or that, then go back and look and see if you can find it, okay, because it's probably there. Okay, then you have a descriptive paragraph, and I don't do a lot with the paragraphs because this isn't really a writing class. The main thing that I look at when you're writing your paragraphs is the main thing I look at with your paragraphs is that whether you have done what we've talked about in grammar. Are you spelling the things right? Are you using your punctuation right? complete sentences, all that kind of stuff, the grammar kind of stuff. I'm not really looking at the actual how you're writing and all this stuff. So, I do like, you need to do a good job with it. You may need to make it interesting. You need to make it so that you start different sentences a different way and all that. But I don't make a huge deal of the writing part, mostly of the mechanics part of it, okay? Because you probably take other classes that are just writing classes. All right, let's go ahead and look at your spelling real quickly, really quickly. And this spelling is a little different this time. I'm going to give you your words, and you're going to say them after me, just like you usually do, or you can say them with me. But, we usually look at this week's focus, and then you highlight the different parts that you're actually supposed to be looking at while you're doing your spelling. Well, this week's focus says, spell words with easily confused spellings. Well, which means that you would highlight every single word. So you might as well not, because it's saying words that are words that people get mixed up. And the first one I looked at, or as I just glanced at the page, I saw number 13 and number 14, loose and lose. People get those mixed up all the time. They think they're saying lose and they write loose. Or they're thinking they're saying loose and they write lose. Okay, so it's really, these are really good words because so many people make mistakes with them. So I would like you to really practice so that you do not do that anymore. Okay, so let's go ahead and read these words. Quiet, quite, angel, angle. Already, already mean two different things. All right, you're either all ready you're going to be doing something, you're all ready to do it, or you've already done it. All right, so it's just a little bit different. Then we have desert, that has cactuses and things in it, or dessert, something delicious you eat after a meal. Weather, whether it's hot, cold, outside, rain, snow, that kind of weather. Or weather, whether you do this or not is up to you. Pitcher, what you do in baseball, or it's something that you can pour water out of. Picture, what you take a picture with a camera. Loose, the screw came loose, it fell out. Or lose, I don't like to lose the game. Aisle, it's the kind of aisle that you go down in a church or something like that. It's kind of a narrow walkway. Or isle, that's a short word for island. Dairy, milk, cheese, anything that comes from a cow. Dairy. Or diary, something you write in, like a journal. Then we have our bonus words, engineer, laryngitis. And I would like you, of course, you probably know what an engineer is. Laryngitis, you may or may not know, I don't know, but I will find out whether you know by your sentences. I would really like to, if you don't know words, look them up so that you can get them into your vocabulary. All right, so that is all we're doing today. We are done. And I hope you do a wonderful job, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.